Welcome back to the TheSlamDuncan YouTube channel. This is Duncan bringing you another video. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to my channel for more NBA content. Also follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. And in this video, we're going to be looking at the players who I think should be going to the 2019 NBA All-Star Game. I'm going to be, obviously I'm following the order of 2 guards, 3 forwards in the starting lineup. And then 2 guards, 3 forwards, and 2 wild cards for the reserves. So a total of 12 players I will be choosing. And I'm not gonna be talking about the dunk contest or 3-point contest or anything like that. But these are the players who I think should be in the All-Star game this year. And this is just for right now because the third returns from fan voting have come out, and once we get to the point where we're gonna announce the starters and the reserves, I'll probably make another video confirming my picks and locking them in before the starters and reserves are announced. But this is my 2019 NBA All Stars as of right now, and I'm recording this January 20th. So we're gonna start in the East, and my first guard that I have is Eastern Conference starters, Kyrie Irving. Obvious pick. Boston, while they have kind of struggled this season, Kyrie Irving has been their captain, has been their go-to guy. This man has carried the Celtics team to many victories this season. And while the Celtics are kind of struggling, I thought the Celtics would be at the top of the Eastern Conference. They're not. I don't think they're going to be going too far in the playoffs, but Kyrie Irving has been playing very well, and obviously, should absolutely be an all-star. He's captain of the Boston Celtics, and he's actually the only Boston Celtic I have for the All-Star game this season, unfortunately. But Kyrie has truly been a leader this year, and his play has been phenomenal for the Celtics, and absolutely should be an all-star. Number 2, second guard is Kemba Walker. This is one of the best years for Kemba Walker by far, if not the best, I believe. And Kemba Walker has done a fantastic job, just like Kyrie Irving, carrying his team. But Kyrie has more help. Kemba is basically all of the Hornets team. He's the only person on that team basically. He's unfortunately the 5th or 6th highest paid player on the Hornets, and that's very unfortunate. He deserves more, obviously, but he has no help. And this season has been fantastic for him, and I believe that he actually should be a starter for the Eastern Conference at the second guard position. He has carried the Hornets this season and absolutely deserves to be a starter. My first forward for the Eastern Conference is Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard has had an even better season than I realized. I did not know he's averaging 27 points per game. I had no clue. But I've been shocked at how well he has just come into the Raptors organization, fit in with Kyle Lowry, and just played phenomenal. One of the best two-way players in the league. He's been dominating teams, and I'm still shocked that he's averaging 27.6 points per game. I had no clue he's averaging that many points. Obviously shooting very efficient, 50% from the field, 37% for three-point range. And 8 rebounds, and obviously defending the best perimeter offensive players every single night. So, obviously Kawhi Leonard, and that the Raptors are at the top of the Eastern Conference, deserves to be a starter. Number 4, it's going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think he's having an MVP type season. The Milwaukee Bucks have actually really shocked me this season. I did not think they'd be at the top of the Eastern Conference. I thought they'd be 5th or 4th, somewhere around there. I did not think that they would be at the top of the Eastern Conference, and I think Milwaukee has a good chance of going to the Eastern Conference Finals. But Giannis, I think, is definitely an MVP conversation, and it's just having another spectacular year. 26 points and 12.5 rebounds. He's shooting 58% from the field. That 3-point percentage we're not going to look at, but this man is carrying the Bucks in every statistical category except for threes, and leading this Bucks team to the top of the Eastern Conference. And him and Mike Budenholzer and the rest of the team surrounding is just fantastic. I love what the Bucks are doing, and Giannis is absolutely deserves to be an All-Star starter. And finally, for my last four, Joel Embiid. Um, the 76ers have, they haven't had a disappointing season. I thought they'd be a little bit better, especially the Jimmy Butler trade, but they're still right there. And Joel Embiid's having another great season, 27 points, 13 rebounds. He is still the main guy for Philly, even though they got Jimmy Butler. And Philly with him is they play old school, but they play really well. And Joel Embiid is having a fantastic season. Absolutely should be an all-star star. So you can, in the comment section down below, or you can at me on Twitter, just agree, disagree with my starters or any of my picks in general. Go ahead and leave that. I want to hear other people's opinions. And there are some picks though that I'm like really stubborn on. But if you say maybe Kyle Lowry or Victor Oladipo should be in the starting lineup over Kemba Walker, I want to hear your argument about that. So go ahead and leave that in the comment section down below. So now we're going to get to my Eastern Conference reserves. And my first guard for reserve is Kyle Lowry. And now everyone's kind of saying with Kyle Lowry, he's having a down year statistically. He's not playing as many games. And you're probably like saying like Duncan, like he's only averaging 14 points per game. Kyle Lowry is the captain for the Toronto Raptors. While Kawhi Leonard is the best player by far, Kyle Lowry is the captain for the Toronto Raptors. When Lowry is out there on the floor, they just play better. Now, granted, shooting wise, he's only shooting 41% from the field. He's kind of struggling there, but that 9.4 assists is what really puts him up there as one of the best point guards still in this league. And because the Raptors are right up there at the top, averaging only 14, but having those 9 assists and still having those 1.5 steals, Kyle Lowry absolutely deserves to be an all-star this season. My second guard is Victor Oladipo off the bench. Now, he is also having a statistically lower season than last year. However, Victor Oladipo and the Pacers are still playing very, very well. And while Victor Oladipo's statistics have been dropped, the Pacers themselves as a team are playing better. He's still one of the best two-way players in the league by far, even though he's not scoring as much. But 19 points per game is still no joke. And he has also missed some time. And I think he's definitely going to pick it up the second half of the season, especially after All-Star break coming into the playoffs. But as of right now, up until January 20th, he has played very well, and the team is playing very well. Still one of the best two-way players, and absolutely deserves to be an All-Star. Now, my first forward pick off the bench is Jimmy Butler. Now, with the trade and everything, I thought Philly would actually be a little bit better than they are right now. But, obviously it takes time to implement Jimmy Butler into their already two young stars, with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. But Jimmy Butler, he's also having a lower statistical season. 19.6 is lower. He's usually around 21, 22, 23 points per game. But the same thing with Oladipo here. He's still one of the best two-way players in the league. And Jimmy Butler has been such a valuable piece for the 76ers. You saw in his first couple of games, he had 2 game-winning threes for the 76ers. He has already put them to another level. And just having Jimmy Butler out there on the court for those clutch shots, those big plays, defensive plays, guarding the best perimeter player, he is so valuable. And it's not just shown in the numbers here. So yes, his numbers are a little bit lower, but he's still averaging 2 steals per game. So you still see that he's one of the best defenders. His assists and rebounds are a little bit lower than usual, and also his points, but that's also because he's playing with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. So he has to sacrifice some stats, but he's still one of the best two-way players in this league, and absolutely deserves to be an all-star. And now Blake Griffin is my another forward pick. And he is having his best statistical season, I believe, of his career. I did not realize he's averaging 26 points per game. And he has done very, very well this season, I'd say. The Pistons, I believe, are kind of a disappointment. I don't really like the whole, two big men type of thing, but Blake Griffin has played very, very well, and I think he deserves to be an all-star this season. I do think the Pistons can be better, however. So now this is where my next three picks are. This is where it's going to get kind of interesting. I definitely can see people disagreeing with these next three picks that I'm going to say. One of them is a forward spot, obviously, because I still have one forward spot left, and then the two wild card spots. And I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. So, like I said, leave it in the comment section down below if you take one of these players off, or go ahead and at me on Twitter or something like that. I actually want to hear other people's opinions on these picks, because these are actually kind of they're my opinions, and I can see a lot of people not going with this. First off is Nikola Vucevic. The Magic have gotten worse recently. They were in the playoff hunt. I do not believe now, the way that things are going, unless they go on a 5-game winning streak as starting now, they're not making the playoffs. I don't think they are. But Vucevic is having his best year. 20 points, 12 rebounds. Those are definitely, obviously all-star numbers. But when this team was playing much better earlier in the season, he was basically the go-to guy. And he's still the go-to guy, and he was leading the team to victories. His three-point percentage has jumped up to 38%, some big improvement. And I think he deserves to be an all-star this season. So first time in a while, the Magic get an all-star. Next pick, this is my first wild card pick. I picked Chris Middleton. And this has actually been I've been saying this a lot to some other people, that Chris Middleton deserves to be an all-star. And a lot of people have been kind of disagreeing with me. But let me say this. So when the Warriors were at the top of the Western Conference, right, they got 4 all-stars. Last year, the Boston Celtics got 2 all-stars, Kyrie Irving and Al Horford. Let me just say something. Al Horford was averaging 15 points per game and 8 rebounds. Draymond Green was averaging 11, 7, and 7. Chris Middleton is averaging 17.4 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, and 4.1 assists. He is the second best player on the Milwaukee Bucks, who are currently at the top of the Eastern Conference. I don't want to hear that they don't deserve a second all-star. I don't want to hear it. Chris Middleton absolutely should be an all-star this season. And now, I do want to hear your opinion on this, because there has been some controversy. I was listening to some of the Magic announcers the other day, and they're saying that only Giannis deserves to be an all-star from the Bucks. And that was when they were getting blown out by the Bucks. But Chris Middleton is the second best player on the Milwaukee Bucks, and he has been such a great asset next to Giannis. He allows Giannis to be Giannis, and he can guard one of the opponent's best perimeter player at any point in the game. He's a knockdown 3-point shooter. He complements Giannis so well. I think he deserves to be an all-star. Now, the last pick kind of hurt, we'll admit it, because I am a Bulls fan, but I did go with Bradley Beal. He is averaging 25 points per game, and I feel really, really bad for him right now. I think Bradley Beal just needs to be traded. Some other team. Washington is clearly a mess. John Wall's out for the season. Otto Porter's been a disappointment. They traded Kelly Oubre for some odd reason. But Bradley Beal's been like the lone bright spot for them, and he's having a fantastic year. And while I wanted to put Zach LaVine here, 10-36 for the record for the Bulls just isn't going to cut it. Bradley Beal and the Wizards only have 19 wins, but they're in the playoff hunt. And he is having a better year than Zach. It's hard for me to say that, but those numbers are just career highs all across the board. And I think Bradley Beal deserves that last wild card spot for the Eastern Conference. Now talking about snubs or honorable mentions, Ben Simmons has been a name that's been thrown around a lot. I can't put Ben Simmons in there. I just can't. And the thing is that he's averaging the same stats from last season, and he hasn't done anything better than last season, and he wasn't an all-star last season. If anything, Philly deserves 2 all-stars. If you look at the top Eastern Conference teams, I picked 2 from each team, Bucks, Raptors, and 76ers. I picked 1 from Boston, which I would usually pick two, Gordon Hayward, Tatum, Horford if they were playing better. And then Pacers, I only picked one also with Victor Oladipo. Putting Ben Simmons in so that it's 3 from the 76ers, it's very, very hard for me to do, and I can't do that right now. I think the reason why the 76ers are where they're at, like right with the Raptors and the Bucks, is because of Jimmy Butler, not Ben Simmons. So that's one. Andre Drummond's another name, but again, I'm gonna go with Blake Griffin. The Pistons have been a disappointment. I don't think they deserve two at all. They don't deserve 2 All-Stars. And obviously I talked about Zach LaVine. Now, if you've been kind of saying like, well, what about the other playoff teams right now? The other 2 playoff teams right now are the Nets and the Heat. Right now, with the Heat, Goran Dragic is out. Hassan Whiteside's only averaging 13 points per game. DM Waiters has been out. He just got back. You could say Dwayne Wade because it's his last season, but I don't think we really want to do that. The Nets, you could say D'Angelo Russell. I disagree. I just can't put D'Angelo Russell over any of these guys that I've picked. And there's really nobody else on the Nets, unfortunately. So while the Nets and the Heat are in the playoff hunt, I'm sorry, I can't pick any players from your teams to be an all-star this season. It's hard for me to say because usually I reward the winning teams, but really it's just because the fact that the East is only a 5-team race at this point. And I can't, like, the rest of the teams, it's just like, well, you have no chance. Like, if you look at the West, though, like, it's just stacked all, like, everywhere. So the West is a different story. But these are my all-stars from the Eastern Conference. Agree, disagree? Like I said, go ahead, leave in the comment section down below. So moving on to the Western Conference starters. Obviously, I think we all kind of have most of the starters set, but there is one change that I kind of just did, and I think it actually will happen. But let's start out with the guards. Guard number 1, Steph Curry. No brainer. Do I really have to say much? I mean, he did miss some time, but this man is the greatest shooter of all time on the greatest team in the NBA, averaging 30 points per game. People still don't realize that. And yeah, he's shooting 45% for 3-point range. That's all I have to say. Moving on, James Harden. He's putting up historic numbers, 36 points per game. Just having a historical season, really. I can't put him in MVP conversation right now, because of the fact how the Rockets started. And I just can't, for you to be an MVP, in my opinion, you have to have a consistent season throughout, like he did last season. The Rockets really struggled at the beginning, but while he's been having a historic run this season, after the struggles, he's not an MVP, but obviously he deserves to be a starter. He obviously deserves to be guard number 2 in the starting lineup. I mean, 35.7 points per game is insane. And well, if you do know me, I am kind of like a hater on James Harden a little bit because he shoots so many free throws, 20 a night, and that's how he gets most of his points. I can't deny how great he's been playing. So James Harden is my second guard. Moving on to the forwards, obviously LeBron James. He has missed time, but it's LeBron. And I think that's all I have to say is it's LeBron. Fourth forward is Kevin Durant. It's Durant, 28 points per game, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, on the Warriors. Yeah, it's Durant, and it's what we expect from Durant and also Curry and also LeBron. So, however, I will say that Curry and Durant are my only 2 All-Stars from the Warriors. That is something I want to address at the end, but I do not have Klay Thompson and Draymond Green as All-Stars right now, and I think you guys know why. But my 5th starter, my last forward pick, and I think this is where it's gonna get controversial, but I do not have Anthony Davis right now. While he has had a great statistical year, the Pelicans are struggling, and I can't deny how great this person has been playing, and that's Paul George. Paul George, I think, is having an MVP type year. And I mean, these are career highs across the board. He's second in the league in steals, averaging 26.7 points per game, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Like this, you can't deny how well Paul George has been playing. I think he definitely deserves to be an MVP conversation. But this man has definitely shown that he is like right next to Kawhi Leonard as the best two-way player in the league. I mean, it's like Leonard, George, Jimmy Butler, somewhere around there, and then Victor Oladipo. Like those guys are like the best two-way players in the league, and Paul George is absolutely showing that he deserves to be in conversation for the best two-way player in the league. And I know everyone's gonna be like Anthony Davis though, 29 points per game and more rebounds and all that, but you can't deny how well the Oklahoma City Thunder have been playing, and the reason why they've been playing so well this season and are currently third in the West is because Paul George is now an even better Paul George than before. And I think Paul George has played well enough and has carried his team with Russell Westbrook to such a great winning standard that he deserves to get the 5th spot in the Western Conference All-Star lineup. So, moving on to the reserves. First is Russell Westbrook. This man is averaging triple-double. Again, I think people have forgotten that Westbrook is averaging triple-double still. I mean, we can't forget about that. 22 points per game, 10.6 rebounds, 10.5 assists. Now, it's not fantastic, It's not like, oh, he's averaging 13 rebounds and 14 assists along with 20 points. I mean, but still, averaging triple-double. You can't deny how just amazing that is. He's leading the league in steals, and his three-point percentage has been atrocious, but it's Russell Westbrook gives it 110% every single night. Him and Paul George, that dynamic duo, man, just killing it. Not to mention the Thunder have the best rated defense in the league. So I do believe that OKC deserves to have 2 All-Stars for their great play this season. Moving on to second guard off the bench is Damian Lillard. Sorry for the bad picture there, but Lillard is having obviously another spectacular year. The Blazers have surprised me. I think I had at the beginning of the season, I predicted the Blazers would not be in the playoffs. That has been proven to not going to happen. So, there has been a stat that I actually saw that Damian Lillard, with him on the court, the Blazers had the best offense in the league. If Lillard's off the court, the Blazers have the second worst offense in the league. So this just shows his value and how he deserves to be an All-Star. The Blazers still have some struggles I think they have to work out. I've been saying that if either Lillard or McCollum struggles in a game, they have a very good chance of losing that game. Both of them need to have good games to win the game. But they need to figure out how they can win with either Lillard or McCollum struggling. Because if they both struggle, it's an absolute L. So they need to figure out how they can have more balance on offense and also make sure they keep up their defensive intensity. I think their bench has been better, though. Moving on to the first forward off the bench, Anthony Davis. Like I said, I mean, he could easily be in the starting lineup, via fan vote and media vote. But Paul George right now is above him in fan vote, and I think people in the media will recognize how well he's been playing, and so I think Paul George will get that last starting spot. So Anthony Davis, I think, is going to come off the bench, but like I said, I wouldn't be mad if he starts. But the thing is with Anthony Davis, while those numbers that you're looking at right now are fantastic, the Pelicans are at the bottom of the Western Conference currently. They have a under 500 record, and it's hard for me to kind of reward that. And because of the way that Paul George has been playing, I put him in the starting lineup. But Anthony Davis still obviously deserves to be an All-Star. I just wish the Pelicans would be better. But unfortunately, it's starting just to get to the point of just the Anthony Davis, Drew Holiday show and like no help whatsoever. Hopefully they can figure it out. But Anthony Davis, first forward off the bench. Second forward pick, Nikola Jokic. The Nuggets have really shocked me. I had them in the playoffs, but I did not have them at the top of the Western Conference. And the reason why they're at the top of the Western Conference is because of Nikola Jokic. And I think everyone kind of knew he was going to be an all-star either way this season. But averaging 19.6, 10 rebounds, and 7.7 assists is fantastic. He is leading the Nuggets team to the top of the Western Conference currently. However, I do not have a second Nuggets all-star, and it's kind of hard for me to say that. I can't really put another Nuggets player over the next, like all the Western Conference players I've picked. The only person that you can really be in consideration is Jamal Murray, but we'll get to snubs later. But Jokic having a great season, and Nuggets are playing very well because of it. Absolutely deserves to be an all-star. And my final forward pick for off the bench is Tobias Harris. I know this is also be kind of controversial, but if you've noticed so far, the theme is the fact that all the players that I have picked to be all-stars from the West, their teams are in the playoffs except for LeBron and Anthony Davis. And obviously, it's LeBron and Anthony Davis. But Tobias Harris has been the leader, really, for the Clippers. And no one really had the Clippers in the playoffs, but the Clippers are currently in the playoffs, but just barely in right now. But they started at the top of the Western Conference. They then kind of hovered between fourth and fifth, but now they've dropped down a little bit more. But the Clippers are playing very, very well, and the reason why is because Tobias Harris has been playing at a great rate. 21 points per game and 8 rebounds is no joke. No joke whatsoever. So I think he deserves to be an all-star. I think a lot of people are also kind of snubbing him, and are just not even acknowledging him. But I think Tobias Harris is going to be an all-star this season. But like I said, I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me on that. My first wild card pick is going to be DeMar DeRozan. The Spurs, a lot of people are saying the Spurs are not going to make the playoffs. I was kind of shocked to hear that. I mean, they made the playoffs last season without Kawhi Leonard and with just LaMarcus Aldridge. So now you trade Kawhi Leonard, and who didn't play for you besides for 9 games, and you go get an all-star. And you still have Aldridge, and you still have Pop. Now, yes, DeJounte Murray is gone for the season with the torn ACL, but, I mean, the Spurs are still going to make the playoffs. So the reason why is because DeMar DeRozan. I wouldn't be surprised if LaMarcus Aldridge takes his spot, but I think DeMar DeRozan's had the better season. And I think he's really taken his game to the next level. The rebounds and assists are career highs for him, and that just shows that he is not just a scorer, and he's not just that one-dimensional player. His three-point shooting, obviously, it's very low, but it's just the fact that he's another scorer, go-to option for the Spurs, and he fit in very well with the Spurs system, and I think he deserves credit for how well the Spurs are playing, and the Spurs are right in the middle of the Western Conference playoffs, and I think it's because of him, and LaMarcus Aldridge obviously deserves credit, but I think DeRozan's had the better season. So now my final pick, and this is really, I really not 100% picking this guy right now. There's a lot of players that you could say for this final pick for me, and the guy I'm going to show you right now, I'm not 100% certain. Like the other guys that I picked, I'm like dead set on they deserve to be all-stars. Those are my all-stars. This last pick for the wild card spot is kind of tough for me, but I went as of right now with Donovan Mitchell. The Jazz have brought themselves back up into the playoff position, and it's obvious because of the play of Donovan Mitchell. You could put Rudy Gobert here also, but I'm going to go with Mitchell due to the fact that he's been basically the only offense the Jazz have had, and Ricky Rubio has been out. Here's the thing. So I'm picking Mitchell right now just due to the fact that the Jazz are in the playoffs. They're playing much better. They're playing great defense, and Mitchell's the vocal point of the offense. I think he's had another good season. It's very similar to his rookie season, but obviously he's gotten better. He kind of got off to a slow start. He's getting back to his usual self now, and obviously I think he's going to improve for the rest of the season. I'm just going with him right now because of the fact that the Jazz are in the playoffs. The other person that I had before, I think I even had this guy yesterday, but Karl Anthony Towns is like the other pick. the thing is right now that the Timberwolves are really struggling, and like I really want to reward winning. I know that's like completely different than the Eastern Conference because there's just not that many players, and even teams that are in the playoffs, they don't really have a star player that you can really say. But in the West, that's completely different because a lot of teams have a star player. But I could put Karl-Anthony Towns, but that's kind of a stretch in my opinion because the fact that it's just he's not having that great of a year. I mean, he's still having a good year. It's all-star worthy numbers, but it's the fact that the Timberwolves have not been winning, and Jimmy Butler was clearly the reason why they were in the playoffs last season. So unless the Timberwolves they move up into the playoff picture, then I think I'm gonna roll with Donovan Mitchell for my last pick. The other players that I've been also hearing is the two Grizzlies players, Marc Gasol and Mike Conley. Either one could go here. The Grizzlies, however, are 14th right now in the West. I can't reward that. They should be better. Do I think they're a playoff team? Yes, but I don't think they've been playing very well, and I can't put either one over Mitchell, in my opinion. The Kings don't really have anybody, unfortunately. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is having a great year. He's definitely improved. The Mavericks is with Luka Doncic. A lot of people are saying Luka Doncic, and he is right now second in fan voting in the forwards for the Western Conference. Again, though, I would not put Doncic over Mitchell. Would I rather have right now? I still probably, I mean, it's kind of a tie. I guess I would go with Mitchell as of right now, just due to the fact that he's already had a year. I think Doncic is going to be the better player. There's no doubt about that. I'm just saying for this specific season, the fact that the Mavericks are basically 13th or 12th in the West, I can't put Doncic in over Mitchell. I already talked about the Timberwolves and with Eric Cat, and obviously Andrew Wiggins has been a disappointment. And I don't think I'm missing another team, but the Lakers obviously don't have anybody else. So I feel pretty solid with picking Donovan Mitchell as my last pick for the Western Conference All-Stars, but that could change. It's really tough right now. And also you could say Jamal Murray for the Nuggets and also Klay Thompson. The thing is with Klay Thompson, I think he's just been very, very inconsistent this season. And I can't, he hasn't had a Klay Thompson type of year. He's obviously, picked it up recently, but I'm not going to reward that. I mean, the Warriors already have two players. If you look right now, I don't really think it's fair if you give the Warriors three. That's my opinion. I think Klay Thompson could easily be picked by the coaches, unfortunately. I do not want Draymond Green, though. I do not want him in there. He has not had the same year as he has had before. I did not think he deserved to be an All-Star before, especially over Paul George last season. But Draymond Green, absolutely out. If you say Klay Thompson, I'm fine. So these are my Western Conference All-Stars, and I feel really, really solid about that. Go ahead and, I know those could be disagreements, so go ahead and leave those in the comment section down below. I would definitely want to hear your guys' opinions, because obviously we all have different opinions, and I think I will make one more video of my All-Stars before they reveal who actually made the All-Star team. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you leave a like on this video. Subscribe to my channel for more NBA content, TheSlamDuncan. Also follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14 for more NBA updates, analysis, news, etc. So, like I said, thank you guys so much for watching. For you NFL fans, I'll just say this. Saints got robbed. Don't want the Rams in the Super Bowl. Upset that the Patriots made it to the Super Bowl. I don't want neither team to win the Super Bowl. The referee that didn't call pass interference, very upset at him right now. I just think it was very unfair for the Saints for that to not be called. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Duncan White, signing off for now.